Hey folks, welcome back to Hopped Up Beer Review. Today we're going to be reviewing Green City by Other Half Brewing out of Washington, D.C., but originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hopped Up Beer Review, the show where we give you our unprofessional and somewhat biased opinion about the beer we are drinking and reviewing. Appreciate you guys checking us out. Be sure to like, subscribe, and cheers that notification bell, as well as check us out on social media. All the links are below in the description. I got Jay. I got Andy in the attic. I'm Ben. What in the world are we drinking today?
So today we're going to go either place you want to look at it. It's Other Half Brewing, originally based out of Washington, D.C. I mean, not Washington, D.C., New York City, Brooklyn. They expanded their production and tap room and opened one during the pandemic in Washington, D.C. So these beers were distributed from their Washington, D.C. brewery, but the original formula comes from New York City for this one. As you can see on the can, Ben had alluded to the Empire State Building on there. So
Yep.
I think we get cracking and drink this. We can talk about it. I know Andy's got some history and discussions.
This is Green City's double dry hopped version. It's 7%, 65 IBUs.
So, Andy, tell us a little bit about the difference of why double dry hopped versus just a standard.
It just means they, when they dry hop something, it's more. They just added more. Sometimes it could be at a later time. So let's get a good whiff of this.
Boy,
yeah,
it smells and looks delicious.
It's very light in color.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a hazy East Coast style, so definitely got some haze in there.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no SRM on this one, huh?
They did not provide that. That smells great.
Cheers, mates.
Cheers, mates. That is great. Fruity, juicy, delicious. So
this is their flagship, I believe, isn't it, Andy?
They're double dry hopped, or they're
the Green City.
Yeah. So it's, again, we said East Coast IPA, but when you dry hop something, you're trying to make it more aromatic and flavorful, and you add it to the brew after it's done boiling and it's not so hot. So it's not boiled in the wort with your original hops, which are meant to kind of add bitterness. When they're dry hopped, that's more to add aroma, which adds to the flavor. And double dry hopped means either add a second dry hopping a few days later. So that's, in a nutshell, the dry hopping and double dry hopping process.
Is there a triple dry hopped?
Yeah.
Yep. And I believe they make some there.
But there's no quantitative, they can't agree on how much makes single, double. And because some people try to say double is twice as much, and in a single, which doesn't really count. So
So it's more about the process than it is the quantity. Is that?
Yeah, I think it's more process than quantity, because double just means more.
So I will say, when I visited there, the majority of their brews did have the DDH, where they call it the double dry hop. So that seems to be their common process, and they have it down really well, I would say.
And unless you know what you're looking for at that place, it is hard to navigate their website to figure out where to find the beer. because it's got like a whole, like you're shopping at a department store for, okay, which department, you want your IPAs, and, you want these types of hops, and, what size do you want? Do you want the double dry hopped or, regular dry? So it's not just like you go to these breweries pages and they've got, you just scroll through their seasonal, their core, and you can see the pictures of the beer. No, this one, it took me a while to find this stuff.
Yeah, they have some unique beers that are I found very was there visiting, and I picked up several to bring back. They even do some of the barrel aged stouts, funky ones with peanut butter candy from Halloween or things like that, nougat, and they have some unique names for a lot of their beers, as you would figure. I mean, one was called Tomato Factory because the place that they took over in DC was an old tomato canning factory. They had another beer called Broccoli. Just but it was a, if I remember correctly, the broccoli was a triple dry hopped. It was really good. So
this one, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was asking about the triple earlier. I don't know that I've ever had a triple dry hop. Of course, I reach for beers that I haven't had, including IPAs, but IPAs are not my first choice always, as has been repeated numerous times on the show.
Well, you would like this one with a New York connection.
We'll see.
Yeah. It's an instant favorite. So, this one has Citra, Centennial, and Simcoe hops in it. Sometimes they add different hops. They don't have to be the same type of hops added into when you dry hop. So that can get a little crazier. So you can get a ton of hops in one single beer if you double dry hop something even.
So just so I understood what you said just there, the double dry hopping process, they can use different hops in each step of the process.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be the same that goes into the wort.
Interesting. Well, cool.
But yeah, did you know why they call it Other Half, that brewery? So it started in 2014 in Brooklyn, and it's by some guys who were in the industry, and they were brewers or craftsmen themselves, and the other half, and they wanted to create beer that they drink, and be a part of a company. They wanted to do it for something they wanted to be a part of, not for another guy. And they wanted the freedom, like most of these breweries.
Yeah.
They wanted to try their own beer, and so they called it Other Half because they felt that they represent the other half of the industry. The guys who are just getting the check, working for something else. They're like, man, I wish I could be doing this.
Yeah. And they have a really cool logo too. It's not really visible on there as much, but it's that little green dot. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's kind of
like an O and an H.
Almost like the infinity symbol mixed into it, which is cool.
So at what point in the process then do you become, when you leave to go create the small brewery, when you come the big one, you then switch over?
Well, considering they've got now 2 large breweries and tap rooms, I mean they've been highly successful. If you ever notice on Untappd, they're usually on one of the top lists of IPAs in the top 10 IPAs typically in the country annually. So they have consistent beer, even with the process Andy said, where they can mix and match the hops. It seems to come out very consistent. So
deal.
They are, yeah.
All right. Well, let's go around and rate this one. So Jay, you've had this one before.
Yes, sir. I have.
It's obvious. Andy,
Nope.
have you had this one? I have not either. So I'll go first, if that's okay. I think that it's the haze is definitely there. That hits me. That's the first thing that I notice is just how hazy this beer is. It doesn't have a lot of bitter to it. I mean, there's some, but it's not overpowering. It's not something that I notice too much of really at all. But it is there. So it leans for me heavy on the hazy side, if that makes sense. And I think, one of the things, especially in an IPA, that I look for is just the balance of the beer. So I think it leans a little far one way, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for me because it's not bitter, which is what I don't like mostly. But I think overall it's a good beer. I'd rate it at a 7. It's not amazing, and it's not bad. It's good. It's in the middle.
That's actually a quality rating for an IPA coming from
That
Ben,
was,
you know?
I didn't know if you were trying to defend a dissertation or you were trying to break up with us. I couldn't.
Dear John.
I figure if I draw it out really
You're
long,
not amazing, but you're okay. I
figure if I
still like you.
if I draw it out really long and I throw a lot of big words in there, then it just you hang on the edge of your seat to see which way I'm going to go with it, and that's really my goal here. Unprofessional and somewhat biased.
There you go.
Andy, your turn.
Solid rating from Ben.
Yeah. All right. I do enjoy this one. That haze, juice, a lot of citrus taste. It's sometimes when I just slow sip it or take my time, and it's like, am I just drinking a juice? It's really good, and that they do a good job with creating those aromatics to reduce any bitterness. I would definitely have some more. I'll take it to an 8.0.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was glad we were able to share this one. When I first had it, I thought of you, Ben, because it's not as hoppy or not as bitter, I guess I should say, because of the haze. It's a heavy beer, in my opinion. It's not one you can sit there and crush over and over again because of how heavy it is and the haze, and you almost expect some chunks in there at some point. I really like it. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have brought it. So I rated it 8.5.
Yeah, I think to me the color being that light somewhat fools me in in how heavy the beer is. Just maybe it's a mental block for me, but you look at something that's fairly light, even though it's hazy and you can't see through it. I tend to associate a lighter color with a lighter beer, and that's very incorrect. So definitely an interesting note there.
Yeah, this amount of haze reminds me of brain cake.
Yeah,
that one was hazy and juicy like this one.
Yep. That will give us a 7.8 for the Green City from Other Half Brewing Company. Definitely a great hazy IPA if that's your thing. If you find it, check it out, give it a shot. Let us know what you think, and let us know. Yeah. There's Andy in the attic. There's Jay. I'm Ben. That's all I got for this one. Cheers, mates.
Maybe.
Cheers, mates.